Hello and welcome to TechBaffle. James here, and today we're going to find out how you can get a set of really cool tools from Microsoft. Now, this is a bit like a toolbox for Windows 11, and it includes some really nice features that you don't want to miss out on. So, let's go ahead and check it out.
TechBaffle. Discover cool stuff.
Okay, so you need to go to Microsoft PowerToys. Not tools, toys. So, links down below. So it goes onto the Microsoft website, install PowerToys. Install PowerToys, I don't know why it gets you to do this twice, but you know. And then it links you to GitHub. So you've got different options here. You've either got x64 or ARM64. For me, I'll be using x64. On the left here, you've got per user or machine wide. So basically, do you want to just install it for yourself or for the whole system? I'm going to go for machine wide. So once complete, go ahead and select that, and it will bring you the PowerToys setup. So read through the terms and conditions. I agree. Very fast reader, I know. You can use your account control, so obviously my screen recorder goes dark, but select yes on that. Now do bear in mind this is a preview bit of software, so things may or may not work as intended. It's just to try out sort of thing. So we've got our PowerToys window launched, and as you can see, there's so many different features. Like, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, that'll take ages. I'm just going to go through some of the best things in my opinion. So one thing that stands out for me with advanced paste is the fact you can actually extract text from an image. So if we go to Wikipedia, we've got our image here, and what we want to do, we want to extract the text from it. So let's go into advanced paste and launch Windows Shift and V. Just copy this image as you would normally. We can now select image to text. So now it's extracted all the text from the image. Go launch Notepad, Control V, just to paste. And now we have the text from that image. So very cool if you've got like a document, for example. Now you can do that very easily indeed. Always on top. So if you're working on something, so let's launch the calculator, and you don't want other things getting in the way, like just now. What you could do is now press Windows, Control and T, and now it will enable this little blue border. So what will happen now, if I try and click PowerToys, look, it's not going on top. No, absolutely not. It's forcing this calculator window to be on top, which is very useful if you're trying to do something, you don't want other things getting in the way. I mean, it could be something simple, like you could be watching a YouTube video in the background and you're working on something, but you don't want the YouTube video to pop up in front. It doesn't just work with calculator. I know I've just used the example in the preview image, but so I want this Google Chrome window to be on top. All I have to do is do Windows Control T, Windows Control T, and even with this window, it's now permanently on top. You're done with having this window on the top. All you have to do is just type the same thing again. So Windows Control T, and it will now revert to a standard window. Awake. Okay, so this is very simple. If you're working on something and your computer needs to run in the background, or rendering a video, for example, and you just want your computer to stay on, you can now enable Awake. So if you open Settings and click Enable Awake, now my computer will stay awake. And you might think, oh, I can do that in the sleep settings. But say if you're working on a laptop and you don't want to mess up battery life because you're just working on one project and you want it to revert back to your standard sleep settings, now you can do that. And it's a bit of reassurance as well that it will always stay awake. Nothing's going to send your computer to sleep. So very cool indeed. But yeah, once you've done rendering a video, for example, you can just go ahead and click that off and your normal sleep settings will resume. Color picker. Okay, very simple. You need a perfect color for your website, or say if you're working on a graphic design, you just don't know what that color is. So do Windows Shift C, and look, it's now showing us the color of everything on this wallpaper. So say if I really wanted this blue, there we go. So now I've got the hex, the RGB and the HSL, which you can use in Adobe Illustrator, WordPress, whatever you want to use it for. And you've got your colors right there. So I've got a few ones I've done previously just to show you, so you can switch through the history as well, so it will remember the last few colours you've picked. Crop and lock, so this is a funny little one. So now we've got our very excited document about chocolate, and guess what, we don't want all this jargon at the top, we just want to read our document. we don't want this taking up all the space. So let's go to Windows, Control-Shift-R. Highlight just the document. I mean, you can do it with anything you want. But now we've just got the document in this tiny little window. Nice compact version of the application. So you've done reading all this. You can go ahead and click X and it will revert back to the fully fledged software. Oh, okay, this one's a cool one. FancyZones. So if you're multitasking and you're struggling for screen real estate, you want to click windows into certain parts of your screen. Now you can. So we've got a bunch of windows launched now, and as you can tell, it looks a right old mess. I mean, look at all this. We have to press Windows, Shift and apostrophe. And now we've got a whole bunch of different templates. No layout, it's just normal. We've got focus, columns, rows, grid and priority grid. Or you can create a completely different layout. So priority grid, click on the window you want and then hold down Shift. So let's do Chrome in the middle, Paint, let's shift this to the right, and the clock on the left. So as you can see right now, so much more organised and a lot more user-friendly as well. So say if you want to draw something while watching a video, whilst say listening to Spotify for example, now you can do that. It just means that you can do a bit more than you can do with the normal Windows zoning. You can do rows. Some software, like this for example, doesn't resize small enough to fit in a section, so obviously do bear that in mind. And like that, we've got a much more organised user layout. And yeah, you can really do whatever you like. You can create your own layouts as well, so if you want to do that, you can. File Locksmith, you want to delete something, and it says, oh, you can't do this because this is already being used by another software. Okay, so let's open up this audio. Can't play the audio because it's copyrighted. But as you can see, it's opened in Media Player. So what happens if I go and delete this file? Let's go and delete. And you'll get this file in use pop up. Now, obviously, I've made this really obvious, but sometimes it might be a bit more annoying. And sometimes you just can't work out what's using that file. So even though this file is being used in this Media Player, we still want to delete it. So let's go ahead and unlock it with File Locksmith. So we can end those tasks, and now we can delete that file. So obviously with that example, it's quite obvious what was using that file, but it might be some sort of hidden software which you're just not aware of, and you can't work out why you can't delete this file. It's really annoying. Now you can unlock that file and delete it. File Explorer add-ons. So whereas before you couldn't actually view SVG files in File Explorer, now you can. You can also view portable document format, PDF. And as you can see, the SVGs are now loading in Windows. Yeah, these white ones, obviously, you can't see. And you can also select a file to preview as well. So if I wanted this logo, I can press that, and it will now preview on the edge as well. So the preview pane, if you haven't got that enabled, you just click preview, and it will hide and show the preview pane. So very cool if you want to preview SVG images. Okay, so I've just opened a folder, and now we can actually preview PDFs. So we'll click that, and as you can see, we can actually browse through this PDF. I'm just scrolling directly over the preview window. Again, if it doesn't show up, you just need to press preview, and there we go. This just means that you can quickly browse through something. Say if you need to find a certain document, or you just want to quickly look at it without properly opening it, you can now preview it with ease. This one is image resizer. So if we've got an image and it's just absolutely massive. So for this tutorial, I'm going to use this image right here, Ghost. Let's right click the image, and now we can resize with image resizer. Okay, so we can choose between these different presets. We've got small, medium, large, phone. And then you can also make pictures smaller but not larger. You can ignore the orientation of pictures. So say like it was portrait, landscape. You've got a choice to overwrite files. I wouldn't recommend this generally. I think it's always better to keep the original and make a copy. You can also remove metadata. So this is actually quite a good handy tool if you just want to remove metadata from images as well. Okay, so let's change this image to small. So I think it's 4K. I think it's 3840 by 2160. Let's go ahead and resize. And now we've got Ghost small. So Let's go ahead and go into properties, details. So we can see the old image was 3840 by 2160 and the new one is 853 by 480. Okay, so for this tutorial, say for example, YouTube doesn't allow thumbnails above 2 megabytes, and say if I were to use this ghost as a thumbnail, this image is actually 2.2 megabytes, no good. And so what we can do, we can open this into Image Resizer, go into settings, and we can actually change the JPEG quality level. So let's bring it down to 70. And yes, this will reduce the quality a bit, but say if you need to reduce the size of your image and without affecting the resolution, you can also do that. Let's go into Resize of Image Resizer again. So you could do custom as well. So for example, I don't want to resize this image, so I'll type in 3840 by 2160 in this example, but I just want it to compress it. So let's go ahead and do resize, and it'll create Ghost Custom. It's actually brought the size down to 924 kilobytes, much smaller. Keyboard Manager is really cool, so you can actually create your own shortcut and save yourself a bunch of time. So let's go ahead and open settings. So you can either remap a key or remap a shortcut. So say if you just want, say there's a key on the keyboard you just don't use, or you want to change it to something else, now you can do that. So let's go ahead and remap a key. Click Add Key Remapping. Select a key on the selected keyboard. So I'm going to go with Scroll Lock and convert it into something I do actually want to use. So instead of Scroll Lock performing the normal Scroll Lock function, I've now got use Scroll Lock to send a key or shortcut, or to send text. Let's do a shortcut. So loads of different options here. It's also quite handy if you've got a limited keyboard. Say if you don't have the numeric keyboard and you want certain keys that are on a numeric keyboard, you can now add them into Windows. Say for example, I don't have the plus key, I have to press shift, and that's just can't be bothered with that. So let's press plus. So now if I press the Scroll Lock key, it will now press plus instead. Oh, sorry, we have to press OK first. Yep. So let's go and type something into the calculator. And now Scroll Lock, in my example, will now press plus. Done. So obviously you'd make it useful for your situation, but it might be certain software you want to use, it Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Google Chrome, anything you just want to quickly do. You can now create your own shortcuts and remap keys. Maybe you got keys on your keyboard you just don't use and you want to turn them to something else. Now you can. Mouse Utilities offers a few options to improve your mouse user experience. So say in this example here, if you've got like a multi-screen setup, or maybe it's really high resolution, you just can't find your mouse, press Control twice and it will highlight your mouse so you can find it on the screen. Or maybe if you don't want to get distracted, you're trying to read something, guess what? You can now got like a little, it's almost like a little torch for reading things. So you can also use it for that if you wanted to. You can also use a keyboard shortcut to highlight left and right mouse clicks. This might be quite handy for me if I'm doing YouTube tutorials, because I remember this software, was it Camtasia, used to do that. When you used to click left and right, it used to create a little animation. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so if we go to Windows, Shift and H, now it will just leave a little spot every time we click the left button, or if we click the secondary button or the right button on the mouse. You can change the colours in the settings, as you can tell as well. So this might be quite handy in tutorials. Say if I'm trying to show something and it's quite small to see on a YouTube video, I can now highlight it. I'd prefer if it did like a little animation, but it is still pretty cool. Mouse without borders. So if you've got two different computers and you want to share the mouse between them, now you can. Okay, so I've now enabled mouse without borders. So it's pretty simple. You just type in your computer's name and then you get a security key as well. We've just got the mouse pointer here. So this is my desktop's mouse. And if I drag it over, it should appear on the laptop screen. And just like that, look at that. It's actually quite good, to be fair. I mean, the way I've got my laptop positioned isn't the best. It'd be better if it was more in line, but you kind of get the idea. Works very well indeed. And saves having to have two different types of mice. Funny enough, I can use the mouse on my laptop as well. and then also drag that onto the desktop. So it doesn't really matter which way you set it up. I could use the trackpad on my laptop and use the desktop. That is kind of trippy. It will basically bring your mouse from one computer to another. So very cool if you're multitasking and using two different computers. Screen ruler. Okay, this is a nice and simple one. So Windows, Control, Shift M. And let's go ahead and measure the PowerToys window. Let's do bounds. Highlight this window. And now we know it's 1086 by 694. You can also do spacing as well. So if you want to know spacing in various software, now you can. So one thing that might be a bit more useful than just pixels, you can also measure in inches, centimeters and millimeters. So let's go ahead and select centimeters, do the same thing again. So just select this area here, and now you can see it's come up with centimeters beneath the pixels. So now we know this is 28.79 by 4.436 centimeters. If you're using Adobe Illustrator, you're trying to design something and you just want quick measurements just to whack in to the software, now you can. Text extractor. So they have a similar feature in the advanced paste. So let's go ahead and go to Google Chrome. Let's go to Wikipedia. Okay, so we've got our menu here to extract the text from. So let's go to Windows, Shift T. Highlight what we want to select. Now, this is a bit of a challenge because it's got italic text as well, and then go launch any kind of software. Just use Notepad and go ahead and paste it. And there we go. It's extracted the text from the menu, which is very cool if you want to use text, and say if you've got a photo of a document and you just want to extract the text from it to put into Microsoft Word or website, now you can. Very easy indeed. Finally, let's go ahead and try out ZoomIt. So ZoomIt is a screen zoom, annotation and recording tool. So this would be pretty cool if you're using Microsoft Teams or maybe for like a YouTube tutorial. Let's open settings, enable ZoomIt. So we've got a photo of a tree and we want to zoom in a bit closer. Let's do Control 1. Okay, you have to press agree on the ZoomIt terms and conditions. Control 1. And now we've zoomed in to the desktop. So if you want to try and see something and you can't quite see it, if it's very small, obviously you can zoom on desktop. On like a lot of web pages you can do that. But if it's something you can't zoom in and you want to just quickly have a little glance at it, do Control 1, and now we can zoom in. Very cool indeed. And very cool if you want to demonstrate something as well. ZoomIt isn't just for zooming, funny enough. You can actually do annotations as well. So to do annotations, we do Control and 2. And then we've got this little red drawing tool. So we can write something really cool like at. It would be great if my handwriting was better, but there we go. So you can now write on the screen. That looks like T. You get the idea. You can now write on the screen. And say if you're doing a Zoom meeting or anything, you just need to, say, just point something out, which is probably more useful. You need to do a little arrow. You can circle around something. Also for like YouTube tutorials, if you want to make something more obvious, you can underline it or circle it, and then everyone will know what you're talking about. I think that's everything for now, at least. That's Microsoft PowerToys. I've been recording for a lot longer than I thought I was going to, but I wanted to go through a few different things because I thought it offers so much different features. And go ahead, download it yourself. It is free. So yeah, if you're using Windows and you just want a few more options, if you're a power user or if you're just enthusiast or you just like to improve your productivity, you now got some different options, like things like Color Picker, very good for graphic designers, FancyZones if you're multitasking. Other things I haven't even gone through because I just don't have the time, quite frankly. But Awake, if you want to keep your computer awake, if you're rendering something, always on top. It's just so much different things. Even just the File Explorer add-ons is quite a handy little thing. So yeah, if you're interested in PowerToys, click the link in the description and download it. It's an official Microsoft piece of software. So if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. If you want any more of this sort of thing, don't forget to subscribe and ding so you don't miss a thing. I'm on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok and Threads. Follow me at TechBaffle. For latest, head over to techbaffle.com. Thanks for watching and have a baffling day.
TechBaffle. Discover cool stuff. discover cool stuff.